Hey everybody, welcome back to Tribe Talk on a Friday evening. Nice to have you with us again. Just waiting for a few people joining. Tonight we've got a bit of a legend with us, a guy called Tim Speers, who I first met at Animal Rebellion in London a couple of years ago. I'll just run you through his bio for those of you who don't know him. So after watching Cowspiracy in 2018, Tim went from eating animal products 3 times a day, every day, for 33 years, to living vegan and encouraging others to do the same in the space of a week. His first introduction to activism was through Anonymous for the Voiceless and promoting individual change that would eventually lead to these industries becoming obsolete. Since discovering Extinction Rebellion at the end of 2016, he's had a shift in perspective and feels the best use of his energy is putting pressure on those creating and enforcing the law through civil disobedience. And he recently had his first experience of incarceration, spending 6 nights at HM Dovegate prison for causing £13,000 worth of property damage to Elite KL, a subsidiary of Elbit Systems, who profit from weapons that have been used to kill peaceful Palestinians. Wow. So hey Tim, how are you? How's it going?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm fine. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. Like I was just saying to you earlier, like I'm coming close to my my house arrest and my bail conditions, and I'm bailed to. I have to be inside from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Wow, can't go to your front garden after 8 p.m.
No.
How long does that last for, Tim?
Also, I have a case review for this on the 16th of April. First time I've ever had this. So basically, like, I suppose we'll touch on it maybe a little bit later on. But like, when I pleaded, when it was my plea hearing for this, it was in a magistrate's court, and because this case, this particular, it can't be handled in a magistrate's court. It has to go to a Crown.
Okay.
Now I have to do like another plea hearing, I think, in a Crown court, as well as like, you know, the ins and outs of things have to be reviewed. So like my bail conditions could be reviewed or something, I think. Then.
Okay. Ongoing then.
I was saying to Thomas before we come on, like if you'd have told me 20 years ago that all I would have seen is criminal damage and wouldn't really have understood, and I'd have thought, well, what's that guy doing and why is he doing it? So that's something we want to talk and touch on tonight, is why this type of activism is so important.
Totally. Why don't you tell us about what you were like before you had that spark in your mind and it put you on a path? You know, your humble beginnings from there to now sort of thing. Give us a bit of background.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like you gave me these questions beforehand, so I had to like, because just I have a habit of like rambling on and like I need to like stay on point. So I've like jotted down some stuff down.
Great.
So yeah, like I'm originally from this really small town in Cornwall called Launceston. You know, I love going back and seeing friends and everything, but like I think I knew from like an early age that I just had to get out of like this small sort of town where everyone knows you, like everyone knows your history, etc. I just didn't enjoy that. So like I was never like amazing in school. Like I've got dyslexia, so like I really struggled with that. But then like while I was doing my A levels, a friend of mine taught me how to play poker, and so he showed me how to play poker. I read a few books, and before I knew it, like I was actually making like okay money from playing poker. So I had this. So this is when I was like 18 or so, 18, 19. I had a job in a night shift. Like I was doing night shift work in this factory, and basically the long, like I was just getting to the stage where it's just like I can't do this anymore, and I was earning like decent money from that. So I actually got fired from that job, and then
something wasn't right with you then. You needed like something deeper, sense of purpose.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've always struggled with working for other people. I haven't had like most of my jobs were from the ages of 14 to like 20, like maybe 18, and I think there was always some sort of conflict with this like this power dynamics and everything within it, and like I think I could recognize people like earning money from what I was doing.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, I never really liked that. So like poker was just like perfect. It was the money that I put in, all the money I won, I got to keep. Because it was gambling, it was tax free. Like I remember going to when I was like actually did this and said I'm going to do this full time. I went to the tax office and just said, do I need to be declaring this or anything? They said like, no, it's cool. So yeah, so
that's awesome.
Through playing poker, a friend that I met in a casino in Torquay just messaged me one day and just said, I've got a room in London. Like, do you want it? Like 20 at the time, so I moved up to London, and like I just lived like the life that I wanted to live. I just saw loads of bands, I made loads of friends,
awesome.
And like that's just that. I don't know, like activism or anything like that. Like I'd never thought about.
Wasn't on the periphery.
No, like I've never thought about like injustices in the world. Really, like I was living like a very privileged or just a lifestyle that I didn't really need to answer to anyone. And I can just I just did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. You got a break away from like where you were, and you got a taste for, something else.
And then you seen Cowspiracy then in 2018, Tim. Was that like the light bulb moment when things changed?
How'd that come about?
There's one thing I kind of wanted to touch upon. So there was basically it's like with poker, like I lost this drive to like get better and improve and stay ahead of the game and like be able to earn money. So I got to this point where I just wasn't actually earning enough money. So I recognized I needed to stop. And so I quit that and had to like go back and just doing like odd little jobs. So I did like poker dealing and gardening work. And like I went through like probably like a spell of like depression for like almost like a year. And like that was primarily because because I wasn't earning and because I was struggling with paying rent and because I had to say to my friends like, no, I can't go out and see this band or because like I just felt worthless. And like that is like what capitalism can potentially do to people. Like the amount of people that are probably depressed right now is like it's solely because of like that sort of feeling essentially, like, and how like they that can do that to us. And it's just like, well, I don't feel that now.
Powerful when you put it like that though.
But yeah, so I watched Cowspiracy. So a few friends of mine, and like they mentioned it. Mentioned it. They said like they changed like the way their eating habits and stuff. And so yeah, I watched Cowspiracy, and like it literally was like being handed the which pill is it? Is it the red pill or the blue pill?
I think it's the red one. Yeah. Takes you into the matrix or out of it or whatever.
So whatever the right pill is, it was like that.
Yeah.
And the world just like was so different. The world was completely different to me. I couldn't believe the amount of destruction that happened. I couldn't believe the numbers, like the amount of animals that killed every single year, the amount of animals that come out of the sea every single year. It was just like such a waste of resources. And yeah, for me, it was just like it was being presented with information where it was like, I have to change. Like I can't allow this to go on. So I changed. Well, I was talking about it, and it's like I was changing, but then it was like basically about like a week later, or maybe a little bit less. I stumbled across like a James Aspey video, like through watching these things and just like looking on Facebook
online.
And within that there was footage of like slaughterhouse footage and like the baby male chicks in the egg industry and stuff, and like
all the harsh realities.
I was traumatized. Like honestly, like I couldn't sleep for a few days. Like after seeing that,
because Cowspiracy leaves pretty much stuff of that caliber out, doesn't it? It touches on it, but it doesn't show you the blood and guts, I guess. And I feel you need both to really, for it to stick. I'm sure you do too. But it changes you, like, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, like I said, like I was horrified, like because I couldn't believe like shit like this went on. Like I can't, like in the world. I just and like I'm pretty naive, I suppose, and it's the way like
Same.
this world is set up that it hides us from these sort of realities that are
it's almost like an indoctrination that you're taught all this bullshit and lies, and
It's
all of a
almost-
sudden someday somebody turns on a light in a dark room, and you're like, holy shit, what is happening in this world? And you kind of, well, not everybody, but you kind of feel like you want to do something about it. And that's something we wanted to ask you, Tim. Like, where does the driving force come from that made you think, well, okay, I've seen this is wrong now. Well, what makes me want to become an activist, or what drove you to want to do something about it?
Great question.
Yeah, like, so
get it, but you know what I mean. They don't.
I just like when you see that, when you just like see, I don't know, it really is like that sort of like footage. When you see it, you just know it's wrong. You just like know, like you can like I mean, like some of the footage that you see, you literally can like empathize. You can just like see the pure fear that are happening. And yeah, we are conditioned to just see certain animals in different sort of ways. Like I just grew up eating cows, chickens, pigs, etc., without giving it too much thought. But I had a cat. Like I grew up with a cat, and I love my cat, and I recognized you know, he had a personality, and like you know, and so once you see that, and you know that's going on, and you know that's going on right now, and like I can't, that has to stop. Then yeah, I just found like I just kept on talking about this. So I said this to my partner at the time. So my partner and I were actually before I even really saw Cowspiracy or thought about this, we were talking about cow's milk, I think, like the dairy industry,
Wow.
like randomly. But I was still having cows. We were still having cow's milk in our cereal and stuff at the time.
Okay. Piecing it together.
And then and then it's just I spoke to her. Yeah, she changed quite quickly, and then I stumbled across Anonymous, the Voiceless. Soon after that.
So that was your first introduction to activism. After you felt you were informed enough and annoyed enough for being deceived, and that it was time to try and make some noise with this. Then, AV to XR. Tell us how you switched from individual to systemic, and that was a big game changer for me. Thinking about it in a different way, because we would do a lot of individual level stuff.
So individual change is amazing. I'm all for, obviously, and promote individual change. Of course,
both, isn't it?
It is important. And so because of the way I changed, literally just through information. It's through the information, now I just actually have I've gone from doing nothing to actually going onto the street. So I just thought everyone else would do that, obviously. You know, I'm just so naive. So yeah, I think I just had no idea about activism. I had no idea about the ways, what sort of types of activism there are and how you get people to change. So I just thought logic and reason, you present that to people, you know, and they must
that's surely that's all there is to it.
So I found was it Vegan Activist Worldwide, and then through that I found AV, and then I found a Leicester Square Cube going on within, you know. So I went on to them, stood in the cube, and listened to some of the outreachers talking to the public, and then just getting annoyed by the public's reaction. Just I need to talk to them. So
that's class.
So just I did.
You felt a natural then approaching that.
I don't know, because I don't know. I think people. I've never really had too many. I genuinely feel I do have really good conversations with people. I think people can see my passion. I never. I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not having a go at anyone for to a lifestyle that they're currently living. I'm that person, or I was that person, etc. But yeah, I don't know. I try to react to every single person, and I get I've had some really, really positive conversations with people, and I know influence people, but just I did that. So I did this for like a year. I went with AV Leicester. I went to the Leicester Scare Cube. I started up my own in Brixton. I helped start a couple of others in London, and just like 2 days a week, I'll do like one cube, and usually I go to Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park every Sunday. It's basically the opportunities to like debate people. So like you really can actually just like lay in to a certain extent and just like use more just highlight that.
Did you go there just to argue with people, or did you go there and speak yourself and people argue with you? Did you do the speaking in Speaker's Corner?
Yeah. So the first time I went there, I just went there with the sign. The sign said, "The only honest argument against veganism is you don't give a shit." And I just literally just stood there with the sign and just got people to come and talk to me. At times I'd have a circle and I just like just reel off some stuff and then just wait for someone to say something. And then just like most of the time, it's like, that's a logical fallacy. That doesn't work. Like, and it's just the standard stuff. It's like, lions though, and whatnot.
Tim, your sign game remains strong to this day. I see pictures of you all the time on social media with your signs. It's so funny.
But also, like, I want to touch on like a little bit of a point with that sign, and like the language that we use and the way that we communicate our message with the general public, and obviously why we shouldn't pander to the general public at times. Like, so that particular side, the only honest argument against veganism is you don't give a shit. Like, what? Like, it was there basically just to like clickbait to get people in, and it did. And I calm people down straight away. So I'm not saying you don't arguing against like the ethical principles of it. Obviously you do, but some people touched upon the word shit, and it was like I had conversations just about that to begin with. Like, there's a few people. So to begin, like, for the first year, it's like, jog on, or like they entertained it, and so I'm not changing it. But it's just like, this is just a waste of my energy. It's like so much of a waste of my energy. So I changed it to you don't care. And, that eradicated it, isn't it? That eradicated it like that. Like, I've lost that as I don't have to waste that. So I think, like, just in the way we frame anything, like when we have a message to share to the general public, like, basically
it's like very well thought out.
It's hard not to be judgmental when you present people with the facts, but you have to understand that that's just the way people react. Sometimes they put a barrier up, so you can't judge anyway, because you and Thomas and me, we all ate animal products and supported these industries long before we were vegan. So you have to realize you too were that person, Yeah,
completely.
So we wanted to ask you about all the different groups that you're involved in, but I think we would agree on the root cause of a lot of the major flaws in the world is the capitalist system that we live in. Could you in some way briefly explain to us the problem with capitalism and how it creates so many ills in the world? It's a difficult question, I know. But
yeah, it's a difficult question. Like, was it one book I wanted to read like really recently was Capital in the 21st Century. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of that. I think it's it touches upon like some of the key aspects of the acquisition of wealth and the wealth distribution, etc. But I wanted to take it with me with this last action. There was a hardback copy, and you're not allowed hardback copies in your police cells and in the prison. So that was bad. That's currently in evidence with someone. But yeah, like infinite growth on a finite planet is impossible. Like basically that's what capitalism says is possible, and that's what we're heading towards. Like billionaires shouldn't exist. Like the fact that we have this model of like who earns the most amount of money is like the most important, and things like this never-ending pursuit of products and I don't know.
No regard for anything good.
And the sad fact of the reality is that it's only a select few. It's only a select few countries, and then a select few individuals in those countries that are causing the most amount of damage. Like it is this elite class, this millionaire billionaire class that are causing all this damage. And then those that are actually going to experience the repercussions of this way of like living. Are those like in the global south who have had their like natural resources where they live like plundered, and they're now like people are dying now because like it's like land's becoming inhabitable.
Yeah,
so like
it just seems like they're raping the entire planet, and it's all they care about is money. They don't care about what the world's going to be like in 50 years time. They don't care about anybody or anything. All they care about is where's the next dollar coming from to add to their already billions and billions of pounds that they have.
Just seems like endless consolidation of power without conscience, isn't it? That's it.
So that's where you come in, Tim. People like you who are fighting back and trying to get other people to join you in the fight. So your first foray really into different type of activism was with Extinction Rebellion. Can you tell us how you got involved with that?
Right. So
systemic then.
So like with so when XR like came about, like my first impressions, I was just like annoyed that they weren't talking about animal agriculture and they weren't like almost like promoting veganism. Like like when I first heard of Extinction Rebellion, like this is 2018. They were just obviously talking about like fossil fuels, etc. And like, I don't know, I was just like so convinced it was going to be like individual change is the way that's like the way that the world's going to like transform, is if we change people, these industries become obsolete. If they can change those consumer habits and like just think more ethically, they go away. So like I like found out about like an XR action. Like I seen obviously they're becoming like gaining traction and they're becoming in the media and stuff. So I wanted to like just find out more about them. So there was something that happened in Elephant and Castle, like that was like really close to where I was staying at the time, and they were doing the swarming action. So basically, it's like there's like this big roundabout in Elephant and Castle, and it's just like the amount of traffic there is absolutely insane. And it basically is just like you just stand in the road for like 7 minutes. And then just like come back off and then like just wait a couple of minutes and stand in again. And basically it's like this is completely legal, but obviously it's going to cause like this huge backlog of traffic. So you had like a lot of angry people. Like I think the first time like I went out in the road, they had this truck driver just like we stopped them. We had this sign or whatever it was, and this truck driver just like hammers down in his horn. And like once he stops, I just like calm down, mate. We're only trying to save the bloody world. And
just give us a couple of minutes here.
Well, like, and then the organizer, like Larch, actually, like one of the founders of XR, like comes along just going, I love the enthusiasm, but that's like, we don't really like do that sort of thing here. And like, I don't know, I'm a bit annoyed, but I just like, toe the line and just like stay silent. And I think like then I found a sign that said honk if you support us.
Oh
so,
yeah, I like that.
So cool. Just hand that out. And then was it at the end of that, they have like XR, they have like debriefs. Like this is the first like time I've actually seen like a debrief happen after an action, and everyone like shares like their thoughts and feelings of what happened and like their experiences of it. And then when it came to me, I just give off this whole like vegan activism speech of individual change and just like
I love it.
And then like I just walk away just thinking, what a great job. Like, I'm so proud and happy of myself. Like that, you've really inspired all these people, whatever. And then so I'm going to touch on upon I don't feel that way now. Like I'm really embarrassed about it. But so more with XR, I then heard about like the 5 bridges, like when they blocked or they like November 2018.
Oh, when they blocked all the bridges,
yeah, for like the whole day on a Saturday, and I couldn't make it. Well, I can't remember why I couldn't make it, but I saw that and just thought, wow, like that was incredible. Like the organization and just the acts of solidarity and like this, like when you can mobilize people and like, you know, be all on the same level, like what you can achieve. And that, like, you know, and that caused, like, the point was, like, it caused mainstream media and
disruption.
And the reason why it was being done was being said, like, obviously, like, it was being reported because of this huge disruption, but this disruption was being caused because of, like, this greater problem that's going on. And, like, then I was opened up to, right, actually, you know, they might have a point. So I went along to an NVDA, non-violent direct action training session in Brixton in maybe like March 2019, like before the April Rebellion. And I don't know, it just felt like this scene from a movie. I felt like I was in like some, I don't know, revolutionary, just like it was just all, it was held
montage.
by...
It's time for a montage.
Something like that. But it was held, actually, it was held by the late, like Iggy Fox, who like sadly passed away a year or so ago. Like, and he was just him, and just that whole setting really like just transformed like the way I was thinking about things, and
powerful,
like how like civil disobedience can be like impactful. So, and then like went along to the April Rebellion in.
No, I was just thinking, because we were going to talk about Animal Rebellion next, but I really love the philosophy, the whole think tank behind all of that. Could you talk a bit more about that, if you don't mind? Just
the philosophy of like non-violent direct action.
Yeah, because I think it's really fascinating, and I'd never came across it until I came across XR and AR. And I know it's been part of history, but how it was utilized so brilliantly, you know, it was drawn from the victories of the past and whatever.
So like you know, XR is just like they're founded on the social science, the history that you say, like the you know the civil rights movement, you know, like
March
is exactly like the things that like happened in Eastern Europe. But like again, like I'm not an expert in these things. Like I'm like the books that I've read on these subjects, most of the time I've like taken them in with me. Like if I've got arrested for an action, I've read like This Is an Uprising,
hardcore political literature in the cells.
Yeah, like This Is an Uprising from start to finish. So if anyone hasn't read that, like I highly recommend that. Blueprint for
I need to get Rogers' book.
Common Sense for the 21st Century. It's like 60, 70 pages, and he basically summarizes all of those things. And it's like, but yeah, like, you know, they touch upon, you know, points in the past where it's just like this quite simple action has just generated such a change. So like, I think that's been my biggest inspiration, and like the reason why, like, I think that like it's, for me, like it makes more sense, like a more use of time and energy. To take
you're touching on the media as well, so you're getting media attention, which gets the story you're reaching so many more millions of people that you would do just by talking to one individual. And again, I value both ways, because I think individual change can be exponential, so one person changes another, but I think I'm the same as you, Tim, where I seen the value in one, and now I see the value totally in both ways. I mean, any way we can get there and make change is a good way, you know.
It takes a lot of different ways.
So I suppose that's one quick thing I want to actually touch upon. It's like from me, from like, you know, my you know, demographic, like I am in a more privileged position than so many other people to do what I'm doing. Like there are so many people that will face like police brutality, you know, from getting arrested, that will be like marginalized, that will just like have like such greater repercussions. They can like face greater like fines, etc., from the states because of like institutional racism. So I'm basically just like you know, using what I have at my disposal, and I am in a position. So like we all do like what we can, and I just like I think anyone that can just do the best of their ability is like that's all we can do.
We always say, don't just do something. Don't just sit at home and do nothing and let the world deteriorate into nothing. Use your time in the best way that you can and do something, anything, and try and change this. So that leads us on to the next question about Animal Rebellion. So you went from XR, well, I wouldn't say you went from XR to AR. AR came around and you got involved with them as well. Were you in that from the start, and how did you get involved in that?
Yeah, so basically after Extinction Rebellion, the April Rebellion in 2019, I came out of that thinking like, yeah, this is great. Like the actions they're doing is amazing. And they're doing this for the environmental movement. And yeah, there needs to be something done from the the animal justice, ethical side of this. There needs to be like, I want to see this like the same as XR. So I tried to start my own to begin with. I got a group of people together, but nothing really came of it. And then just through Facebook, I just saw someone from XR starting just trying to start up Animal Rebellion.
Wow.
So I just responded to that. Went to a meeting with about 8 other people, and yeah, that's I suppose that Animal Rebellion was formed from that. From Dan Kidby, he basically was primarily his idea, and then he just got that going with a few of us. So yeah, I helped that from the beginning. I was helping with local groups, and then the international groups. And then once that was operational, once that was working by itself without me really needing to do anything, I kind of stepped back and just let it develop by itself.
Nice. And
then I don't know, I kind of took a step back from that and just been involved in a variety of different other organizations and just I don't know what feels relevant at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is kind of like an animal that keeps evolving, isn't it? It's fascinating to see the many different arms of the ways of protesting and just in pure rebellion towards what obviously needs to be changed. Along those lines then, you also take a stand against HS2 and the ecocide and what's being committed there. There's so many brave activists doing things trying to prevent that, and the camps that they're setting up. I know you've got some experience at Houston. Tell us a little bit about that, man. You've been out in the front a bit.
So yeah, I have to compare to what the people actually at these campsites. I've been living at these campsites for months and months. I've been doing very little really. The people that have been willing to dig those tunnels, and they were out in Houston in all of winter. Horrendous conditions, but those people are just for me, they're truly inspiring.
I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, for Houston, I know of a few of the people there. So we were at times we would come along with some supplies in the XR truck, so deliver pallets, etc. for them. And then we had this huge banner that was dropped from eventually the church just across the road. NHS, not HS2. So we made that at the XR warehouse, and we wanted to drop it from the actual building of the HS2, climb up upon it. But it was just we just really couldn't find a route that was gonna be safe enough. It was just some will probably could potentially fall. It's just not worth it. So the church across the road were really supportive, so they took upon.
That's nice.
But a few of us, maybe a week or so into the action, climbed on top of the headquarters, another section of the headquarters, just on top of this canopy.
Okay.
just in the entrance and just dropped a banner with essential work should heal, not harm, and just like waited that out, gave some speeches to people across that like came and saw, and then got taken down by the Heights police team. We told them we're going to come down at the end of the day, but they wanted us to leave sooner, so we got arrested for that.
It's amazing the sacrifice some of these people are making, Tim. I know at the main HS2 site, there's people been up trees for like weeks and months on end. And there's people been in the Euston site, there's people underground like for days and days on
weeks
end. Weeks on end.
A long time.
It's just amazing what people are doing to try and...
Well, the longest person was down there, I think it was like 31 days.
Jeez.
Wow.
I mean, that's an immense sacrifice for somebody to try and
protest.
And that's now like that place is now like a car park. Well, it's going to be turned into a makeshift taxi rank. So that site is like it's like a makeshift taxi rank. And then once that's not needed anymore, they'll just be sold and they'll just be turned into a hotel or high-rise flats and something that's not going to be accessible for the general public. There used to be like a park that was for the general park, Londoners to come along and just enjoy, just being in somewhere where you have trees, etc.
Yeah, a bit of natural beauty, somewhat natural beauty.
There's something immensely sad about people cutting trees down. I don't know what it is that.
Especially in cities,
I've always loved trees, but the last few years, I just see what's going on in the world, and I look at like trees being cut down, and it makes me sad.
It's a tragedy. It is a tragedy.
Terrible.
Well, that's what I took some notes down for like the HS2 stuff because, for a lot of this stuff that you don't need to be like an expert in all of these atrocities that happen in the world to take part with them. You just need to know enough where it's like, oh, that's wrong, like that shouldn't be happening. If it all goes ahead, you're going to have 5 internationally designated wildlife sites that are going to be destroyed. 33 sites of special scientific interest, 21 local nature reserves, 693 local wildlife sites, 4 nature improvement areas, 22 living landscapes, and 80 wildlife reserves. It's just like
that's unreal.
They're bulldozing through ancient woodlands, through, just we're living in a time
where done one journey.
They apparently it's just going to save like 20 minutes off, a train time.
That's crazy.
And
that's a testament, to what you were saying earlier. They don't, at the start of this, they don't care.
No, and this is just a vanity project. I mean, the projected cost of this project now is 108 billion. This is all contracts going out to the government's friends. It's like private contractors. It's all their friends, all the people that donated to the Conservative Party that are getting these contracts. It's despicable. It's like they have absolutely no problem spending this amount of money on a railway project. They have no problem bailing out industries that are failing. Like when COVID came along and all these industries were crashing, they have no problem giving them money to bail them out. But when these industries start making money, we don't the taxpayer doesn't actually see a profit back on the money that they pay to help them. And what was it? It took Marcus Rashford to campaign for children to be fed, to have school, it was 108 million or something along those sort of lines.
He had those bars,
for the school, for children to keep on having school meals. And Boris Johnson didn't want to have anything to do with that to begin with. Who said no. It took a national campaign. Well, billions. They're giving billions to these industries. It's just
it's nothing as well. It's disgusting, isn't it?
One of the things that annoys me. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
So they use if anyone's heard of the NET, the National Enforcement Team that they're using to get rid of.
Are they the strong arm of the law or what? These guys.
So when I first heard of them, I thought they were an actual general, a government agency, but it's just a private company that's basically like masqueraded themselves as this like official, like they're like the official evictors of activists and stuff. And if you have anyone like on your land, like, and they're thugs, they are genuinely thugs. There is so much footage of them literally assaulting non-violent, peaceful activists, like people who have been like, you know, broken noses, kicks in the face. And
that's what scares me about that.
And most of the time, well, all of the time, look, the police, if the police are in any proximity, they just facilitate it. They just sit back and allow it to happen. Like, it's absolutely mind-boggling.
Did they not try and flood tunnels as well, Tim, when people were underground? Did they not put water in?
Oh, so yeah, I'm not privy to that sort of information, but like, yeah, the sort of information that was coming out, it sounded like it. Well, they're not. I don't think these people are trained in. So for the Euston Tunnel eviction, that these people weren't trained in that. Like, and I'm not sure if you guys saw it. I'm sure you maybe did. Like this expert that was involved in the tunnels were swampy back in the 90s. Was it the Newbury bypass? I think it was. And you know, he was talking about how they take like weeks for people just to evaluate what they're going to need to do before they actually do it. These guys turned up on the first day. They started like digging,
so crazy.
Like, and they were literally putting, they claim like they put on this front, like they're this like really official, amazing eviction team. So if anyone wants to do any actions against them, I highly recommend it.
I was going to say what annoys me is if you watch the mainstream news, which I try to avoid now at all costs, the narrative is, here's the government building this fantastic train line, and here's these arseholes that are causing a major inconvenience. We need to get them out of the way. And then it's just, there's none of that. What you gave us, I mean, that's a list of crimes, I think, all that that's being destroyed. But they don't tell you that at all. They just, there's a few trees being cut down and these people don't like it, so we need to get them out of the way because they're an inconvenience. And that's the narrative that's fed to people the whole time. They no understanding of what's actually going on and why the people are down tunnels and why they're up trees and why they're trying to be an inconvenience, because they're trying to save the planet. It's just...
It wasn't some wise guy that said, like, whoever controls the media and stuff controls people's minds. Orwell, maybe. But that's the way it is. They get the last say on the story. It's hard to go against that.
So, Tim, there's a bunch of blind spots in the world, and I'm learning every day, and we all are. So it's so easy to focus on animal rights, and for me anyway, and that's something I've done a lot. But one of the blind spots for me, something that's been on the periphery of my understanding, is the occupied Palestinian territories. Could you explain to us what's happening there from a human rights perspective, and your involvement again as an activist, and how you're trying to highlight their plight?
Yeah. Okay. So, like, when you sent me these questions, that was one of the questions. So it's like, oh, this one's actually quite, I suppose, like quite challenging. For me, like when I first heard about Palestine Action, the activist group that are like highlighting some of the atrocities that are going on with this conflict, Israel-Palestine conflict. Yeah, it was one of those another things that I wasn't really too aware about. Like until I say, like, you know, until I watched Cowspiracy. I was like shown what's going on with that, and it wasn't until like I started seeing this group and then being put in contact with the organizers that like I was up until then I didn't really know. And basically you've got areas in that like recognized as Palestinian territory, like all the powers that are important in like deciding who owns what, recognize this as Palestinian territory, and Israel basically have occupation of parts of these lands, the Gaza Strip, Jerusalem, and like Palestinians are basically harassed and are asked for like ID, and goods can't go in and out of these areas, and the Israeli government have used missiles basically on the Gaza strips that have killed peaceful, innocent Palestinian, civilians that have absolutely literally done nothing, literally carrying on their daily life.
Crazy.
So presented with that information, I found out about industries that were profiting from these atrocities, and I along with a friend, I went to one of these companies a couple of weeks ago and occupied basically the building for the day.
You occupied what? Sorry.
So this company is called Elite KL, and they're a subsidiary of Elbit Systems, and Elbit Systems are the largest private manufacturer and of missiles and drones. I think drones basically, and these drones are armored armored drones with missiles, and so these companies, these industries exist in this in Britain, in England, and they're making weapons that are used, sold, profited from, and we basically, the Palestine Action they have this whole just campaign on this one industry, Elbit Systems, and it's basically trying to eradicate them from this country, obviously, and then bringing up the wider, making us aware of what's going on in these regions and the conflicts that are happening.
So is this the action, Tim, that you were incarcerated for?
Yeah. So yeah. So what was it?
You don't hear about that stuff enough, though.
No, I know. No, I mean, I haven't really spoken about it since coming out. There's been, I wanted to kind of write a few Facebook posts, or maybe do some videos, or talk about it, but I don't know. I just haven't found the words. And
still surreal.
I have, but so I found out about Palestine Action, found out about what they've been doing, and just thought, I want to get involved with this, because basically this is the thing with civil disobedience, is that you break the law, but you're breaking the law because you feel you're preventing a greater crime, and I don't think there's anything that highlights that more, and it's the easiest thing to do and defend yourself in the court of law than a weapons factory. Literally, these companies are making stuff that will be used to kill people.
Genius.
It's very easy to for me, I basically I'm not sure if people have been to court and understand the difference between a magistrate's or a crown court, but in a magistrate's court you're tried basically by just a judge that volunteers. I don't even really know the criteria, but they make the decision. But in a crown court, you then have a jury. That's when you're tried by 12 members of your peers. And so for these actions, for any sort of these actions, now it makes more sense to me to do something that I will go to a crown court for. I can then try to resonate and try to justify what I did to these to the jury. And when you have an industry that's profiting from this, and you stop it for the day, and you highlight that, I think you can. So we did that. I sprayed the front of this building in red paint. We sprayed some messages on it, and the damage, the total damage to this building was £13,000.
Is that called economic terrorism? So they call it?
No, probably.
You trying to say Tim's a terrorist?
That's what they said about Guy Yarovsky when he freed all the mink.
Yeah, I think in America you can be tried for economic terrorism if you cost a business money. But Tim, I think it's an immensely brave thing for you to do.
100%.
And again, this happened yesterday. What are your thoughts on this one here?
No,
so the Barclays. So I think this is awesome. I think it's something just can spark something. The whole point of it is hopefully it can just inspire others to do the same, because the message is just so simple, so straight, so on the point. They're putting up stickers on Barclays Bank, break glass, in case the world is on fire. I think like there's something along the lines. And Barclays are like, I'm not sure if they are like the number one, but they're one of the biggest contributors to investing in fossil fuels and just like contributing to the annihilation of this planet. Like they are one of the they're funding it, and something like this is basically just like a company like Barclays does not belong in civilized societies. Companies that are profiting from polluting our air, polluting our water,
using the world as a toilet,
all life, just so they can make money. And this like the very select few. It's only a very small amount of people that are making money from it. And yeah, like obviously, like this sort of thing has
criminal.
But these sort of things people think differently. It's very divisive. It's a lot of people don't really get it. Like a general public, like they see someone smashing a window. It's they think these lunatics basically, and just like don't see how like that's going to make any difference. It's like the people say, well, what difference does that make? That this one window breaking, or like these 7 women breaking some window, it's not going to make any difference. But like, that action on its own is not going to change anything. But that really does have the power to inspire others. It has the power to to think like what they're doing is right. Like
thinking about it more deep, and to a greater understanding, it leads them to the information. If anything,
it's changing that mindset in people that you should not be frigging annoyed at somebody breaking a window. You should be annoyed that the planet's being trashed by these companies and these people who don't give a shit about anything. So you shouldn't be involved about this minor inconvenience over here when this really big thing's happening. It's just the way the whole system's set up with media and government, and
they get the last say, and that is what you fight against, isn't it? It's genius, the think tank behind the actions. Honestly, they get better and better. They dig in, and it's a dirty game that the media play. They keep all that hush hush. They don't talk about the brilliance or what it takes. You know what I mean?
Just a couple more, Tim, and then we'll let you go because we're aware the time is running away. Do you want to go with that one?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, man.
This one's really important for anybody listening. So,
man. So you spent a few nights incarcerated for the cause. Tell us what you did and like how you think that type of activism is necessary.
So I think we touched upon it like a little bit beforehand. Caused 13 grand's worth of damage to this building. I stopped there's a trade union law that I broke the law on. Basically, just like because I prevented people from coming out and carrying out their legal work duties. And aggravated trespass because I wasn't allowed to be there. Did it because
is that what it was? Aggravated trespass, yeah.
It was aggravated trespass, criminal damage, and then this trade union. So it's like 3 separate things broken, and did that, and then got taken to the police station. Basically, it's like I was held there for 2 days. And once they'd interviewed me, they didn't want to release me on bail. Like they just thought like I'm too much of a flight risk. Basically, like if they release me, I'm just going to go back and do it again. Which like I completely understand why their perspective. And so then I was taken to a magistrate's court, and it was down then to the magistrates. And basically, like up until then, I just didn't think I would go to prison for some reason. I just I was a bit naive. I didn't really entertain the idea, and it was only at this point in the courtroom, in the cells below the courtrooms, that I spoke to my solicitor, and it was like, so what are the chances that I actually might be going to prison? And he just goes, well, if you've got a reasonable judge, then no, logic prevails, because obviously this is something different when people are doing something with a clear message, and it is protesting, and it's not just like a random act of random criminality. I'm not just randomly destroying someone's building. Like a lot of people online go say this. It's like, how would you like it if I went and destroyed your house? It's like, well, what am I doing? Am I making weapons of mass destruction or something? It's like, there's a reason why I picked this particular place. So what is it? So
Brilliant.
So they said, like, basically, but if you've got like an unreasonable judge that basically just sees it as like just random acts of criminality, etc. You're going to be put on remand, which means like they're going to hold you in a prison until you then next go back to court. And as soon as you walked into the courtroom, I just saw this like 50-year-old, like, or mid-40s, middle-aged white guy. I just turned to my mate and just go, "We're definitely going to prison." And I don't know, like I just thought I wasn't, like I've been in the police cell for 2 days. I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to see my housemates. I was just really looking forward to seeing my friends. And I was really scared. I didn't want to go. Yeah. But then as soon as he said like you're going to prison, and like also like we're supposed to still be in there now. If he had his way, we'd still be in there till the 16th of April until the next case review. And
what was it like inside?
Inside, like so for me, from like I was saying earlier, like I am in a privileged position because of like I'm a white guy, etc. I'm going to speak, but I've only ever encountered like really like nice police officers. I haven't had anyone really like give me any shit, treat me, and like I've actually had, even though I go out like in London with my all cops are bastards side, that I have had, and like the police officers, prison, whatever you call them, at the police station, at the prison, they were all really lovely. They were all like interested in like why we were there, like, and when we start sharing the information of like what we did. Like I have not really encountered anyone that like disagrees with what we've done. They're like the majority of the reactions are like good on you, and like I get why you did it, and like the prisons are very different at this moment in time because of COVID. Basically, when you first go in them, you're already on your own lockdown quarantine, so you're held in the cell. Like for 10 to 14 days, like basically just you and whoever you're in the cell with. So we were basically kept in the cell all day, every day. And we got 30-minute break to walk outside every 2 days. So for 47 and a half hours from the cell, 30-minute break and back in. So
that's intense.
I did lots of reading. There's a TV in there, so we had the radio on, and like there was the last weekend of the Six Nations rugby, so we watched all those games and the FA Cup.
Were you reading Capital on the 21st?
No, because I wasn't allowed in it because it was a hardback book.
Oh,
so
okay.
I didn't have that. But I had this book called The Chimp Paradox.
Oh yeah, I've got that sitting there.
So I honestly do highly recommend that book to anyone, and it gets us thinking about the way that we think, and like the ways that we like. But at times, maybe we let our emotions like be our driving force of like how we think, or like I don't know. It's just it really that was a really good book to read.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, it was just like an opportunity just to do stuff like that. It's frustrating, obviously, being held against your will.
Yeah.
But the inmates, like the fellow, like when we walked around, like outside for the yard, they were brilliant. Like people were interested in what we did. Like we had some people just like laughing and just like sharing about like, these two like glued themselves on to the top of a building and like protesters and stuff. Like they, and
that's funny.
I don't know. It was just like the thing for me. Like I'm scared. Like the scariest aspect of going to prison is being put in a scenario where you're with some, individuals that, I don't know, just like have potential just to cause random violence or something. Like I'm a pacifist, like whatever at heart. I've never been in a physical fight in my entire life. Like, and I like to think I can get along with anyone, but like there's some obviously that's the potential, but it's the prison system is just a reflection of people that are just being discarded by society, in my opinion. People that just like I think like deep down, like they have a lot to offer the world, and I don't think they've been taken care of. And and now they're in this just repetitive cycle of like going in and out of prison because like they've just been like discarded, haven't helped. Like you've probably got people with learning disabilities that weren't like taken care of in school, and just weren't given the opportunities. And like now it's a money making scheme. I went to a private prison. Like industries now are actually making money of incarceration. And
that's the craziest thing.
So
there's some really crazy stats on that actually.
Absolutely insane, the world that we live in. Tim, we're over the hour and we told you about 45 minutes, so we'll just 2 more quick questions and we will let you go. I wanted to ask you about G7 only being weeks away in Cornwall, and then COP26, which is the UN climate change conference later in the year in Glasgow. First of all, will you be going, and can you tell us why protest is essential and how people can get involved?
But I suppose, this one will be quite brief, I suppose, because I don't really know so much about it all. Like COP has just been this like coming together of people that just talk, like say this is what we're going to do without making any changes. And it's going to be happening in Cornwall this year. So this really will be a good opportunity for people to come down and just like highlight that fact. Highlight that all these people are just like saying a lot of things but not actually like coming through. Like since like what all these conferences started, I think like out of all the carbon emissions that we're producing, like was it like half of them have come out since like the first ever Paris Agreement. Like we're just constantly increasing every single year. So Animal Rebellion are going to be there, I know for a fact, at COP. So I do definitely recommend people looking into Animal Rebellion, like the website, like the Facebook pages. There's so many local groups that you can get involved with. They're going to have a lot going on, and they're doing like lots of very good things. So they've got the campaign, the plant-based school systems. So they're campaigning with local councils, introducing and eradicating meat.
See that happening in some hospitals as well.
So it's all these like these slow like campaigns, and these campaigns that we can just they're definitely winnable. Like they're like totally utterly winnable in our own like institutions, like speaking to our own MPs. But I think like if you have the opportunity to get down to COP, it probably it will be worthwhile because there will be a lot of attention there. But I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be there. I don't know where I'll be. I could be in. Who knows? I could still be under house arrest potentially. Or
it's down in home ground. Then the G7 is in Cornwall, so that must be somewhere close to where you were.
Spent your formative years. Right on the border. I haven't been back to Cornwall for a long time, so it would be nice to actually go back there. It's like a lovely part of the world.
I just want to give a shout out to Liz and the team and the mobilisation team and Animal Rebellion. Hey guys, if you're watching, the work you're doing is immense.
True.
Do you want to go with the last question and we'll let Tim get off for his evening?
Yeah, man. Real quick, just before you go, the police crime sentencing courts bill. What do you think about that and the Kill the Bill campaign? Because it's crazy.
So, like, first and foremost, like, I think, like, when the powers that be start introducing harsher sentences, if you have people who are organized and movements who are organized enough, like it works in our favor. because like if they're going to inflict harsher punishments on people who are trying to make the world a better place, and you utilize that and showcase that, then like that can actually have a backfire effect on them, because like galvanizes people and inspires people. So if you put someone away for a very long period of time, that could then trigger people to actually do something, and then obviously that person will come out, and then you make changes. But like, so yeah, what the police, what this crime bill want to do is they want to basically enforce stricter like punishments and conditions on protests that basically just don't move. So if you just stay and occupy a space, they have the opportunity to basically say they can give you a start and a finish time, and you have to respond to that. The police can set a noise limit on these protests, and they can. This also applies to a demonstration of one. So at its worst, basically at its most extreme, if someone's say holding like a placard, they've got a loudspeaker, and the police don't like it and say like, turn your speaker down, get your placard, like, you know, just put that down, like it's too offensive for me. If the person doing that refuses, they can face a £2,500 fine. And
no more
then
speakers corner.
And then so it's like comes on like, so toppling of statues, you know. So what happened in Bristol, like if that was to happen again, you could face 10 years in prison for doing things like that. So yeah, the whole kill the bill protest is basically just like taking a stand against these. It's saying you can't just dictate how people protest. If your message is strong enough, basically, if you feel that you can justify it, then it's down to. I suppose it's like I would happily be judged by my peers, or in a Crown Court by 12 members of my peers. Like, yeah, I won't allow the police to decide like what's right or wrong, or like the government that we're protesting against. We're protesting against this institution, and they're saying you're only allowed to do it this way. Don't do it like that. Like do it like this, and it's like
basically the hate Extinction Rebellion and Animal Rebellion and BLM and all these other groups. I think they were mentioned several times on the document that came out. So this is their way of just saying, well, we're not going to let you do that anymore. But hopefully people, like you say, will react the opposite way, and more people will come onto the streets, and it will kind of galvanize the movements together.
I think so, and I think that's what the Kill the Bill like is showcased. And it's like there was like I was out like last weekend, and there was so many movements that came together, and it really was inspiring, and it really was like it felt like a lot of unity, and people realizing that like if we just sit back and allow these people that are currently in charge to dictate what's going to happen, then before we know it, we're just living in this just dictatorial regime where no one can just like express themselves and just like be free. So yeah, like I don't think they realize. I don't think like Priti Patel realizes like all the rules and regulations she's trying to impose is actually only going to inspire and hopefully backfire. But that's down to us as individuals to try to inspire our friends and families to take action and like, you know, showcase why it's so important to be doing these things. And it's like, you know, you don't have to be having millions of followers, etc., to influence people. You can just be doing, you know, what you feel like at your capacity, and people will recognize that. Like I've had so many messages from, you know, like a variety of people that like, you know, feel like they want to be doing something now and stuff.
They're backing you.
I read online that you can pull down the statue of a racist under the new legislation once it goes through and get 10 years in prison, and yet there's rapists in prison got 5 years for raping somebody. It's
crazy, man.
The world's a crazy place. Tim, we're going to let you go.
Okay.
What can we say to this, man? I think you're a legend and a hero, man. The personal sacrifice of going to prison for a cause is unbelievable.
Man, you set the bar for everybody. I said to Cliff earlier, man, I feel intimidated coming on talking to Tim. He's done so much.
Yeah, he did. What we were saying was that you've done so much and so much personal sacrifice, and some of the actions you do are like, we were like, what the heck can we do here? Can we, like, what were we talking about? Doing banner drops? There's one or two things we thought we could do. And like, I feel inspired to do more, talking to somebody like
Definitely,
you who is setting the bar so high. So continue doing what you're doing. And hopefully, as far as I know, I'm going to the G7 down in Cornwall. So
yeah,
I don't know if you're going or not, but it'd be great to see you there.
It would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably will. Like, I'll look to be there. It'd be good to see.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I know. I really appreciate coming on. Like, honestly, like I find stuff like this more nerve-wracking than like some of the actions that I do. So I don't know. Like, it's ridiculous because, like, you know, I do stuff and I know, like, I basically like maybe have a more of an understanding than others on this sort of thing, or stuff to share. I don't know. I just it is quite nerve-wracking or intimidating, like standing up and like talking, etc. So, you know, thanks for like giving us the opportunity.
No, you speak really well, man, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. So, listen, like one of the comments here, somebody just thanking you for everything you do for the planet and its inhabitants, and I second that, and I'm sure you do too.
Respect, man.
So, thank you so much. Guys. Enjoy your evening. I'm going to go off and get some food. And
nice one.
Thanks so much for spending time with us, Tim. And
appreciate it, man. Have a great
worries, guys. Thanks a lot.
Talk to you soon. Thanks,
Cheers.
Tim.
All right, bye-bye. See ya.
Bye-bye.